Welcome to the Retzel Health Law Hotspot. Health Law Hotspot is a podcast for physicians and health professionals that covers the legal issues and trends that affect the healthcare industry.
Despite the ongoing pandemic, buyers and sellers of dental and medical practices are busier than ever. If you've ever thought of acquiring a practice or are considering selling your own practice, now might be a great time to seek out the right opportunity. Many sellers are looking to retire or have been overwhelmed by the administration of their practice during COVID. They're now looking for an exit strategy. Unfortunately, there are also quite a few practices on the market where the providers have passed away during the pandemic. On the other hand, many doctors and dentists continue to dream of owning their own practice, and now is the right time to make it happen. If you've decided to pursue a sale or purchase of a medical or dental practice, there are some significant issues for you to consider. First, if you're a seller, it's important not to share information with anyone about your practice before signing a non-disclosure agreement, also sometimes called an NDA. Even in casual conversation with potential buyers, disclosing your best referral sources, your practice revenue, and other personal or private matters about your business affairs is a bad idea. Someone who's serious about buying your practice will be happy to sign an NDA that requires them to keep all information that is shared with them confidential. Remember as well that until an NDA is signed and you're well on your way to selling your practice, allowing a potential buyer access to your office, computers, and personnel is to be strictly avoided. If you're having a tough time finding a buyer or a seller on your own, you might consider working with a broker. Many brokers not only bring together buyers and sellers, but often take on an advisor role as well. While brokers can play an essential part in a successful transaction, my advice to clients is always to have your own lawyer and financial advisor review any documents that you're being required to sign with a broker so you understand the commitment that you're making. Often brokers are seeking an exclusive arrangement on a long-term basis where they get credit not only for potential buyers and sellers to which they may introduce you, but all sales that happen during that exclusive period. This can include buyers and sellers you meet on your own or through other third parties. Additionally, broker contracts can take credit for sales that occur even after the contract ends, which is why the scope of the contract needs to be reviewed and limited if possible. An additional concern is how hard the broker will work for you. Since the contract can continue for a long period of time, having a broker with no set goals can put you in an awkward position when you're looking to sell and no offers are coming your way. One final thing to consider about brokers is that typically they are neither lawyers nor accountants, and it is inappropriate for them to take on those roles for you without having such licensure. Unfortunately, many brokers take on these roles to the physician's detriment, and this is to be avoided at all costs. If you're looking to buy a practice, it's important to consider your goals carefully. If you're looking for a large and thriving practice, this will be a more expensive investment and require careful documentation and due diligence to protect you and assure an efficient and complete transition of goodwill of the seller. If you're looking to grow a practice, you may be looking at a smaller investment, but will need to be patient and put in more hard work to develop a successful operation. Researching the area where the practice is located, your local competitors, potential referral sources, and possible challenges is an essential part of your personal due diligence. Physicians and dentists who are selling a practice need to also carefully consider what commitment they're willing to make to the buyer post-closing. To get a higher purchase price, a seller may need to remain with the practice for some period of time in order to transition patients, employees, and referral sources. Are you willing to stay on and work for the year after closing? If you're a seller who's looking to immediately retire or move and discontinue involvement with the business, this can impact the number of potential interested buyers, the purchase price you'll receive, as well as your relationship with your staff and other third parties. However, as long as both parties enter into the arrangement with a clear understanding of what's to be expected, every deal is doable. Many practices look somewhat different than they did prior to COVID. If this is the case in your practice, you need not necessarily fear that your practice is not sellable. Many buyers are looking at the impact of COVID as creating an opportunity to acquire a practice for a slightly lower purchase price and are willing to quickly pull the trigger on a sale, especially since things have mostly returned to normal for many practices. On the other hand, I'm still seeing plenty of practices where buyers are ignoring COVID entirely and using data from 2019 in order to value the practice for purchase. It's important to note that in any sale in which the parties engage, it's important to take into account any loans and grants that were taken during the pandemic, such as PPP loans, provider relief funds from Health and Human Services, and any other type of funding that may impact the practice or its assets. Finally, once you find your buyer or seller, make sure you have a good team to support the transaction. Documents should protect each party and not only assure a successful transition, but prevent against issues that could arise in the future. Buyers and sellers often want to get a deal done quickly and cheaply, but may pay a steep price in the future for not taking the time and spending the money to do things properly. There are plenty of deals to be made in the purchase and sale of medical and dental practices right now, even though we're in the midst of a pandemic. Now might be the perfect time for you to sell or buy a practice, even if you'd not previously considered it. Let us know at Retzel & Andrus how we can assist you in this process and help make your purchase or sale a success. This is Ericka Adler, and you can reach me at any time at eadler@ralaw.com.
The Retzel Health Law Hotspot is made available by the firm and its attorneys for educational purposes and to provide general information, not to provide specific legal advice. Use of the Retzel Health Law Hotspot does not create an attorney-client relationship between you and the firm or any of its attorneys. The Retzel Health Law Hotspot should not be used as a substitute for competent legal advice, and you should contact an attorney in your state about any legal needs or questions you may have.